Okay, so welcome to the Jungle Lecture. I'm Leon, and I'm also known as Infamous L. So I'm currently Diamond 1 in SoloQ at the moment, but I'm trying to hit Master with Chris, but we haven't had that much luck so far, so yeah. So the patch that we're working on is 5.6. I know that 5.7 just came out like last night, but there wasn't that many changes besides Cinderhulk, but yeah, I'll just do about the previous patch. So I'm going to do an outline on the introduction to the Season 5 jungle, a definition of a top tier jungler, champion select, like the thought process and mentality that you're meant to be having when you're going to SoloQ, runes and masteries, early game, how to gank properly, objective control and mid to late game, like objective control mid to late game. So why do people jungle? So the primary reason for jungling is resource allocation. So the jungle offers a lot of gold and experience through slaying monsters that spawn and respawn in certain locations of the map. This allows the team to have 2 solo laners for more experience and gold rather than only having one, the mid lane. So it allows top to farm solo as well. And also it utilizes all the benefits from smiting the jungle camps, such as like the Gromp, the Raptors, the Krugs, and red and blue buff. And the final reason is so that you have Smite for Dragon and Baron control. So characteristics of a top tier jungler. So a top tier jungler should have a lot of versatility in SoloQ so that you're able to pick different roles so that you don't always have to play an assassin or a tank or a peeler. Like, you want to be able to pick any type of jungler to fit your team comp so that you don't have too much of one stat, so like too much AD or too much AP. Map awareness is a big key factor in being a jungler, a top tier jungler, because like you just need really good map awareness to be an effective jungler, because when you're jungling, most of the time you're just going to be looking at the map and you want to see how you can affect the game by ganking certain lanes. Communication is very important as a top tier jungler because you need to know when like when summon spells have been burnt, and like when wards are running out, when dragon is about to come up, and when buffs are about to come up. So capitalizing on used summoner spells is one of them, the timing, so you can gank easier, and knowing 2v2 potential, so when you're saying you're 2v2ing top and mid, like you want to know the matchup so that you want to be prepared when you're going into it. Like say you're going like Riven and Lee Sin versus like a Maokai and a Amumu, like that's a really weird team comp, but say you want to 2v2 against them, but say you're the Maokai and Amumu, you don't want to fight against a Riven and Lee Sin. Like they're much stronger early games, so you want to probably not pay attention towards that lane and try gank a different lane instead. Warding and vision and objective control is very important because you want to be able to control objectives as a jungler, because that's your role. You want to be able to you want to know where the enemy jungler is so that you can notify your team so that they can't get ganked. Punishing the enemy jungler for misplaying, so say you see them somewhere else on the map and say they're at top lane and you're already around bot side jungle. If they're at top, so they're pretty much focusing everything around top, you just want to go, say you want to push bot tower, gank bot, or do dragon, you want to punish them for spending their time at top lane instead of doing nothing. So punishing the enemy jungler is really important. So lane priority for ganking. You want to know which lane you want to gank before you start the game so that it can snowball better for you. So say you want to gank a lane with more CC so it has more chance of actually getting a kill instead of ganking a lane with no CC and the other team has an escape ability. And also knowing your role, so if you want to peel, tank or assassinate one of their carries. Thanks. So going into champion selects. So the mindset you want to go into champion select. make sure you call your role so people don't like steal it. So you're not like so you don't lose it. Be prepared to be versatile in your picks. So have like a few champions ready, comfortable champions ready. So say like an assassin, tank, or a peeler. So either AD or AP. So your job as a jungler starts as soon as you hit champion select. So you want to like analyze the lane matchups. You want to know which lanes have more CC and has more success rate. You have to visualize how the ganks will go. So say you have more CC on top and the enemy doesn't have an escape. That'll give you more chance of actually getting the gank off. Planning is also very important in being a jungler because time in the early game is very precious because you want to control the early game. That's why you play jungle. Like you have a huge impact in the first like 7 minutes of the game. So this is the jungle champion tier list. These are the notable junglers in patch 5.6. So in the recent patches, Cinderhulk just recently came out. So this is the reason why these like 5 tank junglers just like came up really strong. Like Sejuani recently has just like skyrocketed up to like competitive play because of how strong Cinderhulk is. Same with like all the other junglers on the bottom, they can all run Cinderhulk as well. For the top line of junglers, they're more carry oriented, like Hecarim, Nidalee, Vi, Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, they're all like strong early game junglers, but say Hecarim, Vi, and Rek'Sai, they can also scale like into late game moderately well. However, like Lee Sin kind of falls off unless you know how to play Lee Sin properly. Next slide. These are like the generic runes and runes you usually want to run in a for these jungle champions. So it's like standard AD page, AD and attack speed page, standard AP page, and the tank AP page is for like the Cinderhulk champions. So yeah. Masteries. So there are like specific masteries that are good for the jungle because they're basically for the jungle. So there's Butcher, which like increases the damage you deal to monsters. Feast, which helps you sustain longer in the jungle. Tough Skin reduces damage from the jungle or monsters. Bladed Armor works really well against like the buffs because it just helps you clear a little bit faster because it does a percentage health. Fleet of Foot allows you to move around the jungle much faster with its movement speed, and Runic Affinity because you get increased buff duration. And also, you can go to opchampion.gg or pro builds to see what the pro players are doing. Like, I still use pro builds to see what they're running for masteries because I still sometimes don't know what to run. But yeah, it's a good guide to follow. So some of the spells, you shouldn't be jungling without Smite because Smite just gives you so many bonuses. Why wouldn't you take it? For other junglers, most of the time you'll be taking Flash, or with specific junglers like Rammus or Hecarim or Udyr, you might want to take Ghosts, and sometimes like Shaco, you might run like Ignite or Exhaust or something like that. So early game planning. You want to analyze and predict what will happen in each lane. Think about each individual matchup. So see how the lane will go. Will they win their lane? Will they go even or will they lose? While you're analyzing, you need to make your first decision. Which gank will snowball most out of your first, or which lane will snowball out of your first gank. So you need to like visualize the gank scenario. See if the enemy jungler will end up going in the same path as you and counter gank you. You need to think about how much CC that lane has so that you can make that gank successful. Remember that you're only planning ahead. You're not taking the gank decision and you're just deciding where it's best to start, so you have some kind of plan going into the game. So the generic jungle route for blue side is Krugs, red, Raptors, blue, and then you can either gank after your blue, or you can do Scuttle Crab. Depending on how the lanes are going, you can take time to do Scuttle, because you should be doing scuttle whenever you can. Like if it's up, you should try to do it because it just gives so much utility with its movement speed and vision. And then another clear option, if you have a little less sustain than normal junglers, is going Krugs, Red. Like you do an extra camp before you go back, or 2 extra camps. So you do Krugs, Red, Raptors, Wolves, and Gromp, and then you go back so that you don't spend your blue buff going back to base. Like instead of doing it, then go back to base because you will be low after it. So you can do it after you back, and then gank. Jungle Wrap for purple side. Purple side has less sustain because you don't have the red buff healing you from the first clear, but you'll have Smite back up, so you can Smite reds for the health you get. So you usually start Gromp, then go blue, then Wolves, and then red, and then you can probably gank after that buff. A different route you can take, instead of ganking after red, because you have less sustain and HP, is doing another camp and then going back. So after the red buff, you can either do Krugs, Raptors, or Scuttle, and then go back, and then go gank a lane. Yeah. Okay, so which Smite do you take when you're jungling? Blasting Smite, generally the better option to take on most junglers because it just allows you to clear faster and sustain in the jungle. Challenging Smite is for junglers who have like challenging Smite is just really OP at the moment. Like you can have it, you can use it on like a champion that has some form of CC that's like usually tanky or a strong duelist. Like they will build Skirmisher Saber because it deals true damage and reduces the damage from the target. So it's really strong on tank junglers such as like Nautilus or something, or Udyr, because you're already tanky and then you take less damage and then you do true damage to them. So it's like it's just really crazy. Chilling Smite for junglers who want to just stick to the enemy tend to build it. It steals their movement speed and just allows for easier ganks. And Scavenging Smite. There are a few like scenarios where this item is actually viable, but it's pretty much you telling them that you're going to invade them. So it's not that good of an item because they can set up for counterplay. Like they can just ward their own jungle, and they'll just like close in on you, and then it's pretty much just like game over because your Smite is wasted because you have to get into their jungle and Smite it to make it useful. So yeah, even then, only the viable jungle that could even pull this off would be Nunu. So after the first clear, after you've ganked or backed, now you have like 6 options that you have in hand. You can either gank the lane that you plan to gank at the start of the game to snowball them. You can gank mid, or you can gank a pushed lane that you can see that is pushed up and you know that they haven't warded or know that their summoner spells are down. Or you can farm just to make sure that you're not spending time like doing nothing during the game. You can also do Dragon depending on which champion that you have, like say Nunu or Vi. They can do Dragon really early in the game, or you can go counter jungle. But that only depends if it's 100% safe that you can actually counter jungle. Because yeah, like if you know where the enemy jungler is, you want to punish them for showing up on the map. From this position, decision making is key to make every move efficient. Anytime you make a play, you need to do some kind of cost to benefit analysis in your mind. And the first and more important priority is what is the best lane to gank. Which lane has the most like success rate at getting a kill, and like which lane has blown summoner spells and can you capitalize on it. So if you know like bot lane has like blown flash, it leaves a window of opportunity for you to go gank it. So say, yeah, or like if teleport has been blown, you can opt to go for Dragon if you know your top laner has teleport. It just, yeah. Knowing the cooldown on your enemy's summoner spells is really important, so you can time it. Okay, so these are the multiple routes you can take to gank. So this is for blue side, so after doing like blue buff, you can head to, like you can either go through lane, you can go through river, or you can go through the tri-brush. If you know where the wards are for top lane, you can even like you can go around the back of them. if the river's watered, so you can skip that river water and just like go around the back. For the mid lane, it's just normal. Like there's like 3 ways you can pretty much enter mid lane and gank. Depending on if you have a gap close or like a leap or some kind of flash, you can jump over the dragon wall, so you can skip the tri-brush and gank through the river instead of going through the tri-brush. The next slide. For purple side, pretty much the same thing, except for ganking like bot lane, you can like jump over the wall and just like go around the back of bot lane so that you don't go through tri-brush. Same for top lane, you can like jump over the Baron pit or just go through the river, up the river. Yeah. So how to gank? So you need like a lot of communication with your laners. So you like just spam like on my way, and like tell them that you're going to gank before, so that they're ready for the gank. So preparation, you want to be like, you want to have like just tell your laner that you're going to gank, and so that they're not fully pushing up their lane. And knowledge and understanding. So assume that the enemy jungler is going to show up as well, and you need to plan how your fight's going to go. You want to make sure that it goes smoothly depending on what champions you have. You don't want to like go gank and then you use your gap close on them, but then they just like flash away. Like you need to understand what you're going to do at every stage of the gank. I think that I explained that in the next one. Oh yeah, so during the gank, you want to think ahead. What are your skills? Can they be dodged? So like if it's a skill shot like a cocoon, you want to save it until they actually blow their escape. Or what are the enemy skills, and can they be dodged? So if they have like a stun, you should like wait for it. So like if they blow it in lane or some kind of escape, they blow it in lane, then you can gank. What are your laner's abilities? So say if you have like a Maokai on your team, you want to wait for him to actually use his CC so you can change CC. And how much time you have before the enemy jungler arrives. So you want to like make sure it's safe and you don't overextend the gank. Everything must be calculated as you're ganking. So general tips with ganking, you don't want to use your gap close before you actually need to. So say you're playing Jarvan and you want to go and gank them, you wouldn't EQ straight in because then they can just like flash away or whatever gap close they have. So you want to like walk in and say use like your W, slow them down, and then if they flash away you can like EQ them, just to make sure that you're not blowing your gap close for no reason because you're already like in a position to gank them. So say you're versing a Na or Irelia top lane, you don't want to like approach from behind them because they can use their gap close to escape as well, because they can like either jump to you or like jump over you. If your laner has an unavoidable CC, as I said before, like with Maokai, you should wait for it so you can change CC the enemy. Never blow flash if you're not 100% confident in your own skills or 100% sure you'll get the kill, because most of the time they'll be blowing their flash instead, so it's a win if you get their summoner spell blown and you still have yours, so you can come back and gank them again. Knowing summoner spell cooldowns makes it easier to gank, so say if they blow flash and you can time it, and in that 5 minutes you have multiple opportunities to gank them again, and being notified where it has been warded so that they don't know you're coming. So yeah. So follow-up gank. So say you've ganked them already, they think that you've done your job there and now you're going to go gank a different lane. But you can actually stay in that lane and gank them again, so they won't expect it because you just ganked them and then they're just like, okay, now I'm just going to play normally again, and then you just come out of the bush and just like gank them again. This is your job as a jungler to notice player behavior patterns. So say if they're blowing both their summoners but they're still playing aggressive, you want to just punish them straight up for doing that. If they blow summoner spells, just make sure you punish the enemy laner for being pushed out or too aggressive. Vision control. So That's meant to be the more vision you have, but yeah, the more vision you have, the more information you have. So the more information you have, the more chance your team will have a successful ganks or objective control. Because vision is so important as a jungler, it is important to always buy wards when you back. They allow you to gain control of an area so that you can't get caught off guard by enemies hiding around in bushes. Pink wards are really cost efficient, so you should always have one on the map if you don't have one up, because they're only 100 gold, and they stay up forever, so it's good to have them in key spots. Yeah, also have a pink ward when you're doing either Baron or Dragon to have more objective control, because you can clear wards easier instead of having to sweep it over again. Make sure to upgrade, or make sure to get your sweeping lens after your like second or third back, because it allows you to have more pressure, and when you clear their wards out, so they'll just be more scared, and it leaves more room for you to, more paths for you to gank. Also, yeah, don't forget to upgrade your trinket at level 9, because it only costs 250 gold, which is really cost efficient, because it's just like so cheap, and it's pretty much a mini sidestone, the vision ward, the trinket ward. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And sweeping lens, it's just like allows you to clear multiple wards. Like it's really cost efficient. Thank you. Yeah, next page. So this is for blue side. This is where I usually ward for as a jungler, because usually bot side's usually warded and top is usually warded as well. So I'm just like focusing around the middle area where the jungle is. So these are like the key points for green wards, because it just allows you to see if the enemy jungler is walking through the river or going to a specific lane. If you get deep wards like the one above the raptors, it just allows you to get so much information to see where they are. That pink ward up the top is a very deep pink ward, but usually people don't check that spot anyway, so it'll pretty much stay there forever. So if you can get that pink ward, it's just so good, because you can see where the enemy jungler is, like if they ever walk past there, and then they won't ever expect it to be there. It's just really good information, and having a buff a ward at the buffs as well, just to see if they're coming up, or this deep ward here is really important as well, because you can see if the mid lane is like heading towards bot lane or going to get blue buff. Yeah, next slide. So it's pretty much the same thing for the other side. For purple side, getting deep wards at the buffs or choke points or entry points. Getting the pink ward, usually pink wards are usually placed in the river bushes, because it just gives so much vision, and people don't usually check it. Like, you should always get a pink ward down in those bushes. It just lets you have like control of that side of the map, and if your mid lane also gets a pink ward for the other bush, then it's just pretty much like free vision for top and bot river. Okay, reading the enemy jungler. So knowing the jungle matchup, is it like, so say a carnivore jungler is like a jungler who focuses more on like AD, like say Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Shaco. They have more pressure on you because they're trying to fight you instead of like farm up. Herbivore junglers are junglers who usually want to like farm to level 6 and get items and scale into late game. So knowing the jungle matchup, you want to know if they're going for more aggressive style play or farming style play. Like, knowing what they're going to do. So if they're a carnivore type of jungler, they're going to be looking for more fights, more skirmishes. So you probably want to be warding places where you think they're going to go gank. With herbivore junglers, they're going to be spending most of the time inside their jungle. So if you can get deep wards inside the jungle, you can tell where they're going to be, and then you can like punish them for farming. So you can predict where they'll start. So if you look at the laners when they're entering the lane, you can see laners, when you leash lanes, you usually like spend some of your mana depending on which lane, which champions you are. So say if like bot lane leashes Gromp, they're gonna like use some of their mana to help leash. You can tell that the enemy jungler is starting on that side of the map. If you can tell where they're starting, then you'll be able to visualize where they're going to go afterwards. So you can map out where they're going to be. So put yourself inside like the enemy jungler's shoes so that you can kind of tell where they're going to go, where they're going to gank, or how their path is going to go. So yeah, make deductions according to how your analysis went. If the enemy jungler shows themselves like in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game, make sure you click on them to see like the timers of their buffs. From this information, you can tell where they started because one of the buffs will have like a less timer than the other one. So if you can tell which buff they started at, you can prepare for it. So say you know that they started blue buff and you want to go for their second respawn, you're able to tell when it comes up around like 7 minutes 30. So you can like prepare for it around like 6 minutes 30 and like get a vision inside the jungle so you can counter gank them there, and you can like alert your mid laner to come as well. And yeah, this is a quote by the other one. So SoloQ isn't about outplaying the enemy, it's just waiting for them to outplay themselves. So like if they do like very crazy stuff, you just like going inside your jungle, you just like I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. just get the next slide. Just get the next slide. Yeah, this is a continuation on reading the enemy jungler. So predicting where the enemy jungler will be. So having deep wards will obviously tell you where the enemy jungler will be. Like say if the camp's missing, you can kind of predict where they're going to be next. The Rift Scuttler is also very key to having predicting where it is. So say it hasn't been taken yet and you're going to take it and you see them walking past it, you can see where they're going to be, where they're going to gank. Or say it has been taken, there's a timer on the Rift Scuttler, so it lasts for like 1 minute 30, 1 minute. So if it's like around halfway, you'll know that recently the jungler has taken it like 30 seconds to 40 seconds ago. So you can kind of picture that the enemy jungler will be around that side of the map. If they've shown themselves somewhere on the map, so yeah, if they've shown themselves somewhere on the map, you can go punish them for spending time somewhere else instead of being inside the jungle. And which of the lanes they'll attempt to gank. So seeing which of the enemy junglers have most potential for the enemy jungler to help them out, you can kind of predict which lane they're going to gank, so you can counter gank. When you know where the enemy jungler is, it allows for winners of opportunity, which allow you to punish the jungler. So you want to be getting Scuttle Crab whenever you can, and counter jungling when it's always safe. When you counter jungle, it delays the jungler, and the less camps that they have, the more predictable that they become. So you want to make them go where you want them to go. So say you've counter jungled the topside jungle, and they go there. They see the jungle is gone, and then you know that they'll probably go to the other side of the jungle because that's the only camps that they have left. Or they might go gank, and then you'll be prepared for it. Doing these things, since it'll be more predictable, it allows you to gank more aggressively, so you know where the enemy jungler is, counter gank efficiently, and control the map how you want it to be controlled. That's why it's important to stay hidden as a jungler. So it allows you to have more pressure, and the enemy jungler can't read your movements. That's why you also take like sweeping lens so that you're always hidden from the laners. So yeah, map awareness is key to controlling game. Since you're only doing jungle camps, you should be focusing on the map most of the time, so you can predict where the enemy jungler will be. Counter jungling. So yes, the act of delaying the progress of an enemy jungler in some way. The reason to perform this is always the same. It is an attempt to reduce the influence the enemy jungler has on the game in the next several minutes by depriving him of gold, experience, and neutral buffs. Counter jungling is usually very risky, a very risky tactic due to the potential hazard of being discovered, cornered, and killed by an enemy team. As a result, being able to do it well and consistently it will necessitate a strong sense of map awareness and knowledge of champion matchups. Okay, using Smite effectively. So you get, like a few patches ago, you got like two charges of Smite now. So it allows you to gain allows you to have more room to use Smite on camps instead of saving it for like Dragon or Baron. So depending on which camp you Smite, it gives you bonuses. So say you're a more auto attack oriented champion, jungler, you can Smite Krugs so that you can stun minions and monsters so that they deal less damage to you. This is like for early game. And also it does bonus damage to towers. The next one is Raptors. So it grants you true sight for a short duration if you get spotted by a ward. This Smite is very effective when you're ahead in the game already, because enemies won't be getting wards deep as much anymore because they'll be trying to ward up their own side to play more defensively. If you are playing more aggressive, you can see if they're warding, see where they're warding, so that you can be more safe when you're ganking when you're already ahead. The next one's the Wolf Camp. The Wolf Camp, when you smite it, it summons like a little spirit that grants vision around the blue buff area for around 90 seconds, and it chases them down. So this smite is really good when you're kind of behind and you want to play more safe. So it just allows you to, it's just a really good defensive smite. The next one is Gromp. Gromp, when you smite it, it gives you like a buff that any enemies who attack you, it deals 10% of your bonus health, magic damage every 3 seconds. But I think they changed that recently to 5%. This buff is really good on tanks because dealing 10% of your bonus health. So say you have like 4,000 health as a Sejuani or something, you're going to be like dealing so much damage to the enemy when you're not even hitting them and they're trying to kill you. And the last two are red and blue. So depending on if you smite red or blue buff, the red will heal you for 20% of your maximum health, and blue buff will restore your mana, but it doesn't restore energy, which kind of sucks. Yeah. So objective control. So the red buff and blue buff both spawn at 1 minute 55, and they have a 5-minute respawn time. So say you want to go counter jungle the enemy, and you know where the enemy started. So if you time 5 minutes from where it spawns, so say, usually they start at the smaller camp first, so they'll get to the buff at around like 220-ish, or yeah, 210-ish. So you want to time, so say like 7:30, they'll be coming up again, so you can come back and like gank them, or say, yeah, you just want to punish them if you know when the buff is coming up. Dragon buff respawns every 6 minutes, or like when it's 6 minutes after it dies, and it spawns at 2:30. Since it spawns at 2:30, you can do Krugs and then do blue buff and then go straight to dragon. Depending on which jungler you are, you can even solo dragon at like level 1 or 2. Dragon control is really important as it doesn't give gold anymore, but it gives you these buffs. So, and when you get 5 buffs, or 5 dragon buffs, you get the double all bonuses effect. So even then, sometimes it's better off losing dragon instead of trying to fight, because it doesn't, like earlier on, it doesn't give that much bonus, so it's better off trying to get a different objective instead of trying to team fight and then losing more objectives and dying. So yeah, Baron Nashor, it spawns at 20 minutes and has a 7-minute respawn time. When you kill Baron, it gives you, it gives you empowered recall, so you recall in like 4 seconds. It increases your damage in general, so AD and AP, and nearby allied minions are greatly enhanced. So that's when you can like split push as well, because Baron buff allows like for everyone to pretty much push faster, so even the support can go split push if they felt like it, to get all lanes pushing at once to make it effective. Next slide. So these are some of the recommended channels that I recommend you should watch. The first one is Crumbzz. He's really like experienced and knowledgeable. I've learned a lot from Crumbzz and his videos like recently, like some of the stuff that I didn't even know before. Panzer Dragon, He makes really good guides for SoloQ. Same with the Foxdrop. Both of them make really good. They just make really good instructional jungle videos and SoloQ videos. And Stonewall 008. He does like PBE clears so that you can see how effective it can be. Instead of having to like do it yourself, you can see how he does it, and he's really experienced with doing those type of clears because he does like jungle clears with like, I don't know, like really crazy champions like Bard and stuff. But yeah, and streams to watch. Like I've learned a lot from watching these streamers. Like the Odd One, I've learned so much from the Odd One. He's like one of the main reasons why I started maining jungle, because just the way he taught people and the way he entertained people as well. Same with like Nightblue. He's like a SoloQ jungler. He knows how to play SoloQ effectively. I'm not too sure about Meteos, Crumbzz, and Panther Dragon. Like they're really they make really good videos on YouTube, but I'm not sure how they stream. So yeah, and yeah, you can check out my stream as well because I stream sometimes. Yeah. Thank you for watching, everyone.